Okay, we want to make several points with this rally. Number one, that coal burning and methane burning power plants are dangerous dinosaurs because they're directly unhealthy for the community and because these fossil fuel incinerators are making drastic and hazardous changes to our climate. We also want to say that the movement to preserve the climate has to become an anti-war movement because of the greenhouse gases the military produces and because of the insane costs of war. Finally, this rally is a warm-up rally for another event, this Sunday's New York City People's Climate March, what we hope will be the biggest climate march ever assembled on Earth. Gonna have a cheer for that, the biggest climate march ever assembled on this Earth, yeah. City. All right, we have a number of speakers for you. Our first speaker is Elaine Thompson-Ward, a longtime Bridgeport resident, a volunteer for the Foster Grandparent Program. She got involved with health issues because she was seeking environmental information for a show she worked on called You Need to Know. She now works for CCEJ, the Connecticut Coalition for Environmental Justice.
Good afternoon. We're gathered here on this afternoon for the People Climate Act on Climate, and just a moment, please. Is it good? I have this one here.
That doesn't make you any louder.
You want to sign for you?
Yes, if we could, in the background. We have the existing power plant that's on the south end of Bridgeport, and it is a coal burning plant. It is the largest source of carbon pollution, and there's new limits that have been set to curb the climate pollution, but so much pollution is here in the city of Bridgeport, and most of us, including myself, are using air pumps to breathe. The study for the, as a study has been done, dirty coal plants are the largest source of carbon pollution. And carbon pollution is driving the climate control. The plants have dumped so much carbon as they wanted to in the past into our atmosphere that African Americans and non-African Americans are the ones that have been affected by this. And I say that because the power plants and the incinerators are usually in our neighborhoods. As there are no voice to speak up for ourselves. I mean, people that put these plants into our neighborhood act like we cannot speak up for ourselves. And right now, that's what our purpose is, because we can speak for ourselves. We want to ask them to stop putting these plants into our neighborhoods. We're able to speak for ourselves. We're able to ask those officials that make the decisions, how much do we have to endure for them to stop putting these plants in our neighborhoods? We're trying to make a change here, and we hope that everyone here has agreed with us. I'm assuming that's your purpose for being here. There are so many people that I know personally that are dealing with asthma pumps. They're dealing with children with asthma, people that are on steroids. I myself, with a colleague of mine, went to the South End to pass out brochures, and I had to take breath from my asthma pump. This has to change. When is it going to change? When are the people going to stand up for what's right. And that's what our purpose here today is. We want to stand up for what's right. It's time to cut carbon. It's time to close down these coal plants that are polluting our air and changing our climates.
That's right. That's right.
Desmond.
Good afternoon, everybody. As my wonderful colleague said, my name is Desmond Batt. I represent the Hartford office of the Connecticut Coalition for Environmental Justice. And when I was asked to speak here today, my lovely boss Sharon, I asked her, I said, well, what should I talk about? She says, well, let's talk about climate justice. And the concept may be a little foreign to some of us, but may be familiar to some of us. So I just put together a little speech. I hope you don't mind. I'll try not to play out of key, okay? So to start with, what is climate justice? Now, as a scientist, I know that climate is weather that happens over a long period of time. For example, if you go down to Florida, you know the climate is hot and humid. If you go into the snow belt, you know that you're going to get maybe 3 to 4 feet of snow every year. That's to be expected. That's the climate. Now, what is justice? Now, this word is a little harder to grasp. Justice can be difficult to handle. It's subjective and it's conditional. The practice of justice, for most intents, is giving others what is their due. But exactly what is that? What you consider justice may not be justice to me. And what may be justice to one group may be an injustice to another group.
Exactly.
Now, I don't want to belabor the point, but again, justice is not always fair to all participants. So let's see, we put those two together, we have climate justice. Now, for most intents and purposes, the 4 key functions to climate justice are as follows. We have the root cause, we have rights, we have reparations, and we have participatory democracy. Right here? Good, okay. Participatory democracy. Now that's, to me, that's a $10 word with a 10-cent meaning. It doesn't mean a whole lot. And, but essentially what it means is getting those people who are involved, who are affected the most by climate change, involved in writing and passing the laws. And that's very, very important. Pardon me here. Climate justice recognizes and it also addresses that those who are least responsible for the climate change are those who are affected most by it. Now, a question. Outside here? How's that? That good? Okay. Sorry about that. So a simple question. Do you think that those people who are most affected by the drought are the same people who reap benefits from changing the climate? No, they don't. Do you think that those kids who are afflicted with asthma and breathing problems are the same people who reap the benefits of the coal-fired plants? Do you think they are on the board of directors? Do you think they're shareholders? No, they're not. So when we look at this situation, scientists will tell you, and the studies have proven, that those people who are going to be affected by climate change have to respond quickly when climate change comes into effect. And this generally means money. Those communities, the communities of color and low-income communities, are the ones that are affected the most. So is it a reason that because someone may live in a low-income community, that when a flood comes, is it right for those people to perish simply because they don't have means to escape? That's not right. Was it fair, all those people who perished in the flooding in Katrina, that they died because they didn't have access to transportation or the money to escape the city when others did? That's not right. That's not justice. That's not justice. The great Robert Bullard said, all people are entitled to equal protection of environmental and public health laws and regulations. Now, do you think he meant people with money? Or people with great influence? Or did he mean all peoples? all peoples. And that's what we're here about today. We're here today to bring attention to climate justice. And in an effort to do that, all of us here are participating in the People's Climate March that is happening on September 21st. This is going to be a historic event. Un momento. Like I was saying, this is going to be a historic event. This event is going to take place prior to the UN Summit on the Climate Crisis, and we know that in America, things don't get changed unless you have action. Words are pretty, but you have to have the people in the streets. You have to have the boots on the ground, so to speak. So we're going to put boots on the ground September 21st. We're going to be part of the largest climate march in history, and we're going to show the politicians, not only here in the United States, but the rest of the world, that people, all people, are unified against the change that we're seeing in our climate. Because we only have one world, and we all have to live here together. So I won't take up too much of your time, but I'll leave you with a paraphrase from one of my favorite speakers, Dr. Martin Luther King. He said that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Thank you very much.
We're talking about asthma. New Haven Register picked it up today. It's all about asthma and how the rates are increasing. But nowhere does it talk about what might be causing it. Nowhere does it talk about the biggest polluter in the state. Elaine and I were around Bridgeport the last 2 weeks, I guess. We probably passed out 1,000, 3 weeks, 1,002 flyers, and we talk about the coal burning plant. People don't even know what it is. They see it all their life. You go on I-95, oh, it's a red and white smokestack. Must be like Santa Claus, right? No, but we tell them it's producing coal ash. You don't see it. It breaks down to microscopic particles, gets in your system, and causes all kinds of problems. And there's the stuff you don't see, 140,000 tons of carbon dioxide. The biggest carbon dioxide greenhouse gas producer in the state. Now, I read somewhere that it produces 1/10 of all the greenhouse gases in the state, but then I lost that site, so maybe there's an asterisk. Heller said it, maybe it's not true. But we know it produces an enormous amount, and we've got to get beyond coal. Coal is so last century and such a disaster.